All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Bloom? Here. Mrs. Spiritu? Here. Ms. Laird? Here. Ms. Lewis?
Here.
Mr. Price?
Here. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from our regular meeting on October 23rd, 2023, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Bloom. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lewis. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Ms. Laird?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's approved. Legislative report tonight?
Not specific to legislation, but just a reminder that the various levels of governing bodies ultimately roll down in one way or another and what happens in public schools or the daily function of our lives. So most important part of that is the role of the people, which is to make your selection and vote.
Okay. No walk-on items tonight?
No, sir.
All right. Moving on to our community section. So if anyone would like to address the board, we just ask that you go to the podium, speak in the microphone like Mr. Detweiler said, so everybody can hear you. At home, on the live stream, just state your name and address just for records purposes. And
Good evening. My name is Joel Durbis. I live at 511 White Road in Fremont, Ohio. I've got a few things to hand out in my discussions relating to the bus routes of the school system.
Yes.
Thank you. So, as I said, my purpose is for discussing the bus routes and the concern we have with them. We've contacted the transportation supervisor as well as Mr. Detweiler. Currently, we live over in what would be called the Prairie, which is roughly 1.8 miles away from the schools. And we've asked for clarification on how bus routes are determined. They have not been given yet, so I am here voicing my concern. To get to the schools from the Prairie, you have to cross either Stone Street or State Street. There is no way to cross Stone Street with crosswalks. There is insufficient lighting. There are lack of sidewalks. Across State Street that's a very tall order. That's a tall ask, especially from that area. There is no crosswalks, and you're talking 4 lanes of traffic. So my question, and my wife's as well, because we've been emailing, is simply, how are the routes determined? We know that there are areas that are closer to the schools that get busing. I have, like I said, a 7th grade daughter who we'd rather not drive to school every day. We will do it, obviously. We are doing it now. But last year we had a bus. It was determined to be a mistake. So what is the difference between a mistake this year or last year and to this year? Why can't we why is our neighborhood excluded? We are, like I say, 1.8 miles away, and the bus picks children up that are 1.9 miles away. And like I say, there are some areas I know over on North Street and Port Clinton Road. They definitely get busing. They are well within the 2-mile range. So I ask that the bus routes be considered to be very open and clear with how they're determined. And then also, if you don't understand what I'm saying or what I'm asking, go to the Prairie. Go, let's say, January morning, 6 a.m., and go walk to school. Because it's going to be very dark, be very cold, and you're asking an 11-year-old girl to do this. And I think that's very unreasonable. So that is my concern. I've laid out the directions that I found on Google. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, where you mentioned that there aren't sidewalks, is it mainly the two main crosswalks that you're talking about, the two main streets, Stone Street and State Street? Is there sufficient sidewalks on the other?
So on Napoleon, there are no sidewalks at Stone. And then on State Street, if you were to take Stone across State, there are no sidewalks in that area as well. So there are no sidewalks in either of those major intersections that we would have to cross. Welcome.
Any other questions?
Yes, that would be of Mr. Detweiler.
I'd love to maybe prepare something and to really give this full duty. Maybe would you be willing to come back to another meeting?
Absolutely.
Okay, if the board's permission, I could maybe present a little more fully and maybe more clearly kind of the process. I wouldn't be able to do it probably justice this evening on the spot. I could stab at it, but it wouldn't be really well done. So if it's okay with everyone, I will kind of work this up, and maybe in 2 weeks we could meet again and I could present kind of the process and what we do and maybe even the situation, this particular situation.
Okay.
That's okay.
That sounds good.
That'd be great.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the board?
Can I help you guys?
Hi, thank you.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Jamie Witham. I'm with Youth for Understanding. We are a high school exchange student organization that's been placing students here at Fremont Ross since the early 70s. And this year we have one student at the school. We know that Youth for Understanding is not the only program. Fremont City Schools Board has a very generous policy of accepting 6 students per year. And they're one of the greatest schools because you'll take them semester, you'll take them late. It's very, very helpful to the international exchange organizations that work with the school. And so this year, the whole school has exactly one student, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Good evening. I am Emanuele. I'm from Italy, and I am an exchange student. This is my first time. I'm 17, and I'm nice to meet you.
What have you enjoyed at Fremont?
I've been enjoying mostly the school. I like people, the kindness of the teachers. I like everything about the school. The classes I've been taking so far. And also I had the chance to play soccer here. It was very funny. I met so much people. Yeah, that was cool.
So Emanuele wanted to come and say thank you to the board for allowing him to attend. He is a first semester student, and there are many schools in the state of Ohio that don't take either first or second semester. So again, without the board being open to that as a possibility, he wouldn't be able to be here. He stays with the Tia and Tyler Thomas family, and their daughter Natalie and Sydney are here with us. And also we have Taylor Spann, who is another YFU staff person. She's been with YFU for just a few months in the staff role, but has a hosting history and is an alumni of Fremont. So I've handed everybody a folder, and you'll see that on the left-hand side, we have a program with the Department of State called the Medallion Program. And this is a program specifically for schools that enroll students that come on scholarships. And there are 3 big national scholarships that all the organizations work with to some degree. And those are CBYX, which is a government scholarship between the U.S. government and the German Bundestag. There's a Flex scholarship and a Yes scholarship. And those scholarships are given to students from countries of conflict. And here in Ohio this year, we have 6 kids. They're from Jordan, Palestine, which has been difficult for that student this year. We also have kids from Libya, Indonesia, Egypt, and Kazakhstan. So the Yes and Flex Scholarship are for a more diverse background of students. And we haven't had one of those at Fremont for a while, but if we could find a family to host, we'd get one of these scholarship kids in, and then Fremont could be a medallion school. Not to brag, but Clyde is. So, ooh. Also, behind the medallion program, we've got 20 ways for students to contribute to your schools. And I'm actually going to leave a copy of this with Emanuele to make sure that he's hitting some of these points. But we want the schools to understand that when you accept an exchange student, we want it to be a resource. We want these kids to participate. We want them to be involved in the schools, not just at the high school level, but all the way down to elementary. That's a great thing for our kids to interact with international people and kind of broaden their view of what they know, right? And then behind that is a quick two-page summary of some of the students we have coming for January. So these will be second semester students, and we would love if anyone on the board or listening online or in the audience would like to talk about possibly hosting one of those students, since Fremont is a welcoming school for second semester. On the right-hand side, we've got one of our brochures. We've also got information about making an American student opportunity to be an exchange student. And that's something that we really are missing in the U.S. these days. It used to be, we used to send out 4,000 kids a year, and now we have roughly 450 that go out. And COVID really hurt. COVID really hurt the international exchange community. Schools have closed down spots. They've reduced spots. And so, again, we really appreciate boards like Fremont and superintendents like Mr. Detweiler who welcome the students in. And we want to kind of be a little more in the forefront of your thoughts when you're talking to other school boards, when you're talking to other schools, and you can ask them if they are helping to make little giants the way that Fremont does. So does anyone have any questions for Emanuele?
I do. What made you want to be an exchange student?
So my dream is always be I always wanted to come here to the States. I always like traveling, and like few years ago I discovered about this program. So with my family we decided to start this amazing program with YFU.
Nice.
And the students don't necessarily get to choose where they come. They are, it's kind of destiny, right? It was meant for him to be a little giant. It was meant for him to be with the Thomas family, and it was meant for us to be here tonight so that he could appreciate the openings that we allow. So, yeah. Anything else?
Welcome, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you to you, the host family. Thank you for having him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. One else here to speak to the board. So moving on to superintendent's report.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Price. Couple things. First, some accomplishments. We got our district volleyball results, and we have some serious things to celebrate. Our coach, Coach Cahill, was Coach of the Year for the district, which is pretty impressive. I don't know how many schools that would be. Maybe somebody here would know. How many schools would the district be? I don't know. A bunch. She is our Coach of the Year for the district, and player Lindy Wolf is Player of the Year and district first team. So just tremendous effort, and congratulations to those. Also, Abby Cahill was first team. Ms. Weichert was second team, and Kylie Kidd was also second team. So just a tremendous finish to that season. Along the sports, too, Mr. Price had talked about maybe next meeting, if it's okay with the board, we would bring Coach Long and Ms. Nye along and talk about the study table program that really we so successful this year. So with your permission, we'll kind of slide him. I just dropped that bomb on Denise. We've got a plan, I'm sure, for someone to present a policy, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. So looking forward to that. I had a chance this morning to go to a BASA regional meeting. The BASA does 4 regional meetings quarterly, And there's a lot to talk about in the education world. Just real quickly, a couple of things I learned today. They're very close to, the governor's very close to naming a director for the new DEW, DEW, which they call the department. That's the word they want it to be called. They don't like do, so it's got to be the department. And they'll have one director that will be over it all, and then 2 deputy directors. One of those deputy directors will be a K-12 specialist, and the other will be the workforce side of the DEW. So there'll be a director and 2 deputy directors. The BASS organization is pleading with the governor's office to make sure they're educators and not politicians. So we're just trying really hard to say this is fine, but make sure we have someone who knows our world. So they were very confident, or pretty confident that will happen. So should be named very, very quickly. Also coming out of Columbus is a bus safety. Been fascinating to watch. They're actually doing seminars and they're live streaming them on a committee that that the governor selected to look at bus safety. And one of the biggest issues they've been talking about is seat belts. The update this morning was that there was a school in Southern Ohio that did a pilot with belts on buses, and that superintendent came back and said they didn't recommend it. It was just too cumbersome, hard to manage, hard to supervise. So there's a conversation having about that. That's been the thing that we've all been watching is how do we do that? Not that it isn't safe, but is it manageable? Is it practical? Is it, and if you have an accident, can you get little ones out of those too in a timely manner? If the bus is on fire, I mean, there's just lots of things to consider when you've got 50 kids on a bus all strapped in. So a lot of conversations happening on bus safety. They are talking an awful lot about just better features, maybe some airbags and some other things that are just industry standards for safety. So that's coming up. A big thing right now is the real estate taxes were high. One of the bills that's getting a lot of momentum is instead of taking a one-time shot at real estate taxes, they'll do a 3-year average to try to help ease that burden on families so that it isn't such an increase from last year. So that's something that's getting some mileage. Also, the bill that I went down to Columbus and I was a spokesman for as a proponent of was Bill 206. It's in the House, and that's Gary Click's bill that would talk about allowing kids back into school after an expulsion for a dangerous weapon or a severe dangerous situation. So that one is getting tweaked. There's a lot of organizations sort of throwing in sort of their ideas on how to make it fair and equitable, but it is gaining some momentum. So hopefully that will happen. But that's kind of the things I learned this morning at my BASA update. And if we had any questions on any of that, it's a pretty exciting time. All right, that's my report for this evening.
Okay.
I'll proceed if it's okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you so much. Moving on to our agenda this evening. Donations tonight, Sarah Christ and Grace bags worth $200. I asked Gina today what those were, and they are bags, and apparently it's a seasonal thing that Sarah does. This is socks, gloves, hats, and scarves. So as we get into the seasons, the contents of a Grace bag changes. She does this on a regular basis. She's a repeat customer on the donation thing. So we're very grateful to Sarah for the Grace bags.
Can I get a motion to approve item 1, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Spiritu. Can I have a second? Second by Ms. Laird. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
So, Mrs. Spiritu,
Yes.
Ms. Laird,
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes, motion's approved.
Thank you very much. The next 2 items, Board, are the first one is to allow Gil Bain to be our construction manager at risk for the tennis court project. So item 2 and item 3, we're going to be your permission to sort of proceed with that. We do have, and we've had meetings with our PI funds to make sure this is something we can do. We believe we're in a position now to go ahead with the tennis court. So with your permission, with item 2, we will allow Gil Bain to help us manage that project.
Can I get a motion to approve item 2, please?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Lewis. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bloom. Any discussion?
Will they be subcontracting that to some of the local?
Yes, and you'll see in our next about local. I don't know. The next item will be where the contracts are going, so we could discuss that if that's okay.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu,
Yes.
Ms. Laird,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes, motion's approved.
All right, item 3, it does list then what they've gotten so far. Court Smiths is they've got a unique niche here. That's somebody that I don't think anybody else is doing what they do the way
Okay.
they do it, and they're really kind of their specialty. We've done work with them in the past, so we're very excited about that. Vaughn and Bauer Tiling would be fairly, I know Bauer is local,
Bowers local for sure.
and Vaughn we've worked with significantly in our project, so some pretty trusted individuals there. So with item 3, we would, with your permission, then we could allow Gilbane to proceed with the management of these 3.
Can I get a motion to approve item 3, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Bloom. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Laird. Any discussion? Quick question.
Yes, sir.
So when are they thinking with the approval on this then?
This would be a spring project, we believe.
Okay. Like
Yeah.
after that
After.
tennis
Right.
season?
That's right.
So
That's right. They start it was still pretty cold when they fire up in the spring, so it'd be a summer project after the tennis
Right.
season.
Okay. All right. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Ms. Laird,
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
If I
Motion.
may, Mr. Price, real quick, Coach Wolf was in a lot of these meetings, so I know that I'm
Okay.
if I misspeak, I know, but she's got it because we were really conscious that we want to make sure, since that's a
Good.
space that has 2 seasons, unlike much of our other spaces, it's a 1 season, right? So we
Right.
got to be a little careful to make sure we don't disrupt the season. So I know Coach Wolf has been in these, even talking about how and what and where and some of the details of this program. So we're very excited to have her input on that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Item 4, this is something we've been talking about for a very long time. I've got an opportunity to present to you tonight, Inspire PR Group. We met with 3 different public relations organizations, and they just rose above. Were also the most manageable price-wise, and we believe a good fit for us. So with your permission, what they're going to do in November and December, they've already started. We've started sending them our current public relations efforts, our newsletters, my emails, anything that our social media sites, the different building sites, all those things that we're doing. So we're beginning to send that to them. They're going to come meet with us in a committee of people and look at what we're doing currently and where we can improve. So they're going to take a long, deep look into our community, do a study on what we're doing. After 2 months, then come up with a proposal then that we can then kind of go with them on a sustained basis after that. So then a monthly fee to sort of help them or have them help us with emergency situations for communications, maybe more stuff from me in my office, just things that they may see as good ways to get our message out. And also talk about what should that message be? What are the needs? What should the message be at this time and place for Fremont City Schools? So it's amazing how much I've learned already about what they do. So with your permission, we'll proceed with this. I think I'm pretty excited about it. So the first 2 months would just be that in-depth dive into what we're already doing. And then they'll propose a monthly package then of support by hours, basically, but it's really then a commitment then for us to use them. It'd be about a year commitment after that. That's the plan. And I would, maybe after we're done here, I would like to have somebody, if they could join me for that committee from the board. So if somebody would be willing to help me with that, that'd be great. I'll get back to you on that. So I've got a day meeting planned, I think next week, 1:00, I think, but I'll get you the details on that. It's a daytime meeting. So, all right. I talked a lot. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. All right. Can I get a motion to approve item 4, please?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Laird. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lewis. Any discussion?
This is exciting. I know we as a board have talked about school as a business, you know what I mean?
Competing.
And now and with competition, and this is a great way, a great first step to promoting all of the fantastic things that our school has to offer, our school system has to offer.
A very systemic view of it, and a very purposeful view. Yeah, absolutely.
Do they work with schools? I mean, are they
Yes, it's
special
amazing. They gave me a
educational
huge list of references, and I called them, and they're doing great work. And I was amazed. Between the 3 that I tried, probably 200 districts in the state are using PR firms. I was amazed how many. It's way more common than I thought.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Laird? Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's approved.
Thank you very much, Board. I'm excited about that. Item 5, resignation, Jody Amore, nurse from Krogan. Jody's been with us a very long time. She's been a dutiful trooper, and we're going to miss her very much. Kendra Pravard then is a cook, also a resignation. Moving on, item 6, first is a certified staff substitute, Aaron Kendall. Item B, Andrew Bickford, who's actually started as a sub here at middle school. If you see him probably on your way in or out here tonight, this will get him started full-time here at Fremont Middle School in the evenings. Classified substitutes, Noah Bork, Heather Keegan, John Plath, and Tammy Smith. Item 7, supplemental contracts. First one, Brenna Rohrbacher for assistant middle school cheerleading coach. Item 8, supplemental duty positions. As you go down to the bottom of the page, you see music department, assistant wrestling, and drama club. Continuing on to the next page, item 9, we have some more special event workers. These are our tech assistants who can help us mainly in the pack as needed. Item 10, an onboard instructor, Brandy Balmer. That's our drive instructor for buses. Those are personnel items for this evening.
Can I get a motion to approve items 5 through 10, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Espiritu. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bloom. Any discussion?
Just thank you to all of them. Everyone will particularly miss Jody Amore. She's been very integral.
Staple, truly.
Mhm. Cared for our children for many years.
That's a fact. A lot of Band-Aids, right? Not that she just has Band-Aids. That's one thing about nurses. They're doing real medicine now. We have kids with all kinds of issues. So I make light of the Band-Aid thing. I don't mean that like that. It's a lot of Band-Aids, but our nurses do real nurse work in our schools, for sure.
All right. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Ms. Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Laird?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's approved.
Thank you much.
All right. Moving on to report of the treasurer.
Good evening. Can't believe it's already November. We just wrapped up closing October, and now it's already time for the 5-year forecast. I'm sure you are all going to be so excited when that comes at the next board meeting. It's going to be amazing, I can tell you. As every opportunity for me to speak, it's just the
Can't wait.
best. My office is kind of crazy right now. We have open enrollment with the employees. So as you can imagine, all the insurance questions are now coming out as these employees are getting ready to make those selections. So we just love this time of the year. And then I just have one item tonight on the board agenda. We have the apparel fundraiser for orchestra tonight was better than it had been in the past. So we just had to increase that so that we can write the check to the fundraiser company. And then the class of 2023, this is to allow us to use the leftover funds from the class of 2023 towards the different dances and activities for this next coming school year.
Can I get a motion to approve item 11, please?
So moved.
Motion by Miss Laird. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Spiritu. Any discussion?
I just need to make sure I understand this correctly. So the orchestra did a better job at fundraising than what they projected or what they've done in the past.
Yep.
And this is the difference that's going to be. Okay.
So, they brought in more money, so we have to be able to write a check out to the company. So we have to be able to spend more money to make money.
Got it.
Kind of.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Roll call, please.
Ms. Laird?
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's approved. All right. Board member communications. Lori.
Well, congratulations to the coach and the volleyball player for getting the awards, and that exchange student was neat. And we had one when we were in school, and we still keep in contact with him. He's in Germany. He's pretty cool. And all the donations and the people that are volunteering and helping out and giving of their time.
Anybody else?
Just want to say congratulations to the volleyball team, to the students, to the coaches for all their accomplishments. It was nice hearing from our exchange student, and nice that he's having a good experience here, and to see the other students are going to come for the next semester. So, and then my daughter and I and my husband, we attended the team leadership towards the trunk or treat, so that was nice. So we dressed up in our Paw Patrol. We were Paw Patrol this year.
Of course you
so.
No question about it.
So yeah, so we attended that. So that was nice.
Intel?
Also, congratulations to Coach Cahill and the student athletes. And thank you to Coach Wolf for helping with the tennis court project. And he's a special person to coach, as such dedication and time beyond just what's at the game. Hence Coach Wolf and saying how the design of everything and the facility is going to be. And really appreciate that. And thank you, Sarah Chris, for the donation. Often, if you go back and look at our agendas, often you'll see donations by individual people. You know, I think that's really special. There's great things that organizations do, and we appreciate it. But when just one individual of their own heart and their own hands gives, it really says something special. So thank you.
There.
It is just a great time to be a little giant. It just is.
It's true.
We have so many things going on in our school district for our kids to participate in and be proud of. And as a parent and a community member, it just makes me feel really good that that's what our kids just have so many opportunities. High School Musical, the musical, November 17th through the 19th. Talk about a great way to support our kids. And again, I know I've said this a few times, but this is a joint venture between St. Joe and Fremont City Schools. I think this is the first time that's ever happened.
Remember another time.
Yeah, so this pretty special. I have the great pleasure of being the parent of one of the participants in the play. And to hear these kids come out of rehearsal every night, I mean, it's 8:00 at night and I'm like dog tired, like, oh, and they come out and they are just full of energy. I think they could rehearse for 2 more hours, but when next week that might happen. Yeah. But it's just a neat opportunity for all the kids. Middle school kids are involved this year as well. Again, to echo everybody else, shout out to Coach Cahill and her squad. The demand of excellence that she has for her student athletes, heavy on the student and the athlete, is awesome. And again, just a great time to be a little giant. Thank you to the Thomas family for hosting a foreign exchange student. That's a big undertaking. If I had another mouth to feed in my household, it might be a little problematic, but it's really awesome that we have parents and just community members in our district that would be willing to host a foreign exchange student. So if that's you out there in TV land out here, there's information that any one of us would be happy to share, and maybe we can. I don't know how appropriate it is or how we can share it.
Yeah, no, we've got some website stuff, and our social media has been doing some stuff.
Good for our PR people.
There you go. There you go.
I think that's it. Thank you.
Well, to reiterate, congratulations to Coach Cahill and the volleyball team, the players that have those individual awards. I believe all fall sports are completed now.
That's correct.
There isn't anybody left in anything. So
tryouts for winter now. Here we go.
That's right. Here we go.
Boys here.
Basketball.
First parent meeting for the 8th grade boys tonight.
Yeah, so. Basketball and wrestling are just around the corner. I did see that there is a special introduction ceremony for all of our basketball teams, middle school and high school, girls and boys. That's going to be at the high school. I saw a flyer for it. Entrance fee is a canned food good. That's your entrance. They're going to put on a little show to introduce all of our basketball teams. And I think it said there's going to be a dunk contest. And so some fun stuff going on. I believe it's later this month before the season gets started. So watch for that if any, for our community, especially to go and support the basketball teams, middle school and high school. So thank you to Mrs. Witham and our foreign exchange student and YFU for the information, and hopefully someone hears about it and maybe they're interested in bringing in a student for next semester. Like she said, they're looking for some for just second semester. So that'd be a great opportunity for some of those kids from around. So
She's making arrangements to set up a table at lunchtime at Ross too, to sort of drum up some interest too. So.
good.
Oh,
Good.
nice.
So last thing is from a parent. So my daughter is a freshman at high school and she's working at the cookie shop. So sometimes I'm picking her up or sometimes I'm home when she gets home from the bus. And every day she was nervous, obviously, as a freshman going in, but every day I ask her, how school's going, how everything is going. She loves all her teachers. So I just want to give a shout out to the high school teachers. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. She was nervous as all get out at the beginning of the year as a freshman. I don't know why, because she's our little social butterfly, but the staff out there is just doing a phenomenal job with those kids, I think, and really trying to get them involved. She was a little nervous about getting involved as a freshman. She's in a couple different things now. So I just wanted to personally say thank you to the staff out there. It's good to see that and just helping those kids in all that they can do. So with that, there's no reason for executive session tonight. So could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Lewis. Could I have a second? Second by Ms. Laird. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Ms. Laird,
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes, motion's carried. Meeting's adjourned.